It's the Mostly Comedy, More Than Mostly Comedy podcast. Hooray!
Yay!
That was a slick. I thought I'd go for a different style beginning.
I liked it. It was very showbiz. It
was sort of showbiz, but I was definitely losing faith in it as I did it. So
it's good though.
And also forgot the title of our own podcast. So
it has been that long that I did at one point kind of hesitate on saying More Than Mostly Comedy, and then I kind of said Mostly Comedy. I couldn't remember what it was called. I didn't have my mug today. Normally I have a cup of tea, and I've got a Mostly Comedy mug, one of the rare limited edition mugs.
I purposely bought it for you so you remember the name of the club, didn't I? I said, you have this, and you remember.
This is it, yeah.
It's not true. Glyn bought them, actually.
Didn't have it today, and then that ruined everything for me. I forgot everything.
Ruined everything.
Yeah. But it was good. It was still a good interview.
It was. And in case you're wondering who it is, because you haven't looked at the title of this episode, we interviewed Lucy Porter. And it was lovely. Yes. I mean, she is just really, really lovely. I mean, I think we say that about everyone, but then that's probably because just about everyone we have at the club is just really nice. Yeah. And why would you book people that weren't nice? Because that would just be not fun for anyone.
No.
But yeah, it was a lovely chat, wasn't it? And it was nice to catch up with her. We might as well just go straight in and do it right now, shall we?
Let's do it.
So here's Lucy Porter. So here we are for another More Than Mostly Comedy interview, and we're with Lucy Porter today. Hello, Lucy.
Oh, hello. It's so lovely to see you.
It's lovely to have you here. Well, I mean, I know it's a difficult question to answer, but how have you been in the whole pandemic, lockdown, 1-2 scenario? How's it been for you?
Oh, amazing. I
really?
The best year of my life, guys.
Yeah?
Yeah, no, it has been... Well, lockdown 1 was largely about homeschooling fails.
Yep, likewise.
That dominated. How old are yours, Glyn?
My oldest is 7 and my youngest is 3. Ooh. So it's a really big gap when they're at home together for a long period of time.
So does that mean the 3-year-old's either going to be really, really high-end intelligent, or the 7-year-old's going to be like really lacking in...
I'm going for the second one.
Yeah,
definitely. Based on the way lockdown went, I'm going for the second one.
Yeah. They've all gone feral. I mean, it was just. I was saying.
How old are yours?
So 10 and 8.
Oh well, yeah.
And I mean, it was in no way a success, the homeschooling. I was saying to my husband, it feels like we were sort of sitting down at first and we were trying to teach them maths and English and stuff that we haven't done for 40 years. And we sort of decided it would have been easier trying to teach the cats to play jazz clarinet. I mean, absolutely nonsense. So we gave up about, I'd say, a week and a half in. It was like, right, this is going to be about family bonding and about, getting up to date with popular culture and watching as much television as is humanly possible.
I like the way you sort of reference that made it into popular culture. So up to date with popular culture is a good way of making...
It's almost educational, isn't it?
Just watching TV,
Yeah, media studies. It's very much like when I had friends who did media studies degrees. And I was like, that sounds like a great way to watch a lot of movies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But I think the point is you never set out to be a teacher, did you? So, you can't really be hard on yourself for not being
it's brilliant as well. I've got friends who have been very scathing in the past about teachers and who have been like, oh, well, yeah, they get really long holidays, don't they? Oh, yeah, all right for some, finishing work at 3:30. And it has been a joy and a delight to watch their esteem and respect for teachers climb. I mean, it's just, you just think, trying to control 2 children that I gave birth to, impossible, right? Imagine 30 of the bastards that you've got you can't even take away their iPads or, threaten them with anything because they have to be nice to them. Unbelievable. So, it's been extraordinary. I did feel bad handing them back over to the teachers, just going, we have no routine or control at all. And they've picked up some really bad knowledge and information because we don't know much. They ended up thinking Winston Churchill was Queen Victoria's drag alter ego. They were like, we don't know who any of these people are. And they were like, science consisted of mixing 2 liquids, a gin and a tonic for mummy at 6 p.m. So it's been, that was tough. But I mean, compared to what most people were going through, really not that bad. And we live just down the road in lovely Pinner. So,
that's not too far.
yes, we were very lucky. We went out for yomping walks and things like that, so it was all right, really.
Yeah.
But and no work. I mean,
yes.
I was going to say, what were you supposed to be going on tour?
I just started.
You started already?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
God.
Well, in fact, the last gig I did before lockdown was in Leicester, and it was and it was really weird because the show that I was doing is called Be Prepared. In fact, because I did a preview at your gorgeous club, and it was a lot more written than it was when it appeared at Mostly Comedy, I'll be honest. And so I'd got the show, I was like really happy with it, and it was called Be Prepared.
Yeah, which is always a good start.
The irony of what were we not prepared for? Global pandemic, turns out. So so I did this gig in Leicester the week before lockdown, and it just felt all kinds of wrong. I don't know what your last gig, because at that time you sort of it didn't really penetrate that we really should just stop and stay at home. So I felt really like, oh God, this was a mistake to sort of still be gigging, but you never know.
Was it at the point where they'd announced that there was going to be a lockdown, you were actually kind of still doing gigs, or was it just before they said it officially?
Yeah, I think it was just, we all knew it was coming, but it hadn't officially been announced. And I think, and theatres didn't want to shut because they didn't know what was going to happen. And so, so the whole thing was kind of very peculiar. And especially because the show is all about my experiences as a brownie and about the Scouts, obviously, because the show is called Be Prepared, and which is the motto of the Scouts. And so everyone who was coming to the show, or a lot of them, were Scout leaders and guide leaders, and they're sort of really kind of capable and competent members of society. And it was really interesting because they were all like, yes, right, we're going to take this pandemic, we're going to tackle it. And the conversations we were having then, you sort of look back now and think, we had no idea what was going to happen. We just had no idea.
No, not at all.
Definitely. I think the theatre that I run, we were definitely in denial massively. We were kind of going, well, I think they might close us for a week or something. I'm not sure, but we'll be fine. I'm sure. It was like that. So we stopped with no plan at all because we thought, well, we'll probably open in about a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah.
And also, even with the club, we took quite an early decision because we had a gig. I think it was Arthur Smith was going to do, and we decided at a point where it wasn't quite definite, and you sort of thought, are we actually being a bit too dramatic,
overcautious?
And then it all happened and continued forevermore. I was frustrated because I was supposed to be going to see, of all people, William Shatner was doing a show. Yeah, he was doing a show at Hammersmith Apollo. It was a showing of one of the Star Trek films and like a question answer thing. I just thought it would be amusing. And it still went ahead, but it was like the day before lockdown was actually starting. And you're like, well, I can't go to Hammersmith Apollo and sit with like 3,500 people. But they didn't cancel it, obviously, because they didn't want to refund it. So you're just in a sort of frustrating situation. And even like, because Shatner must be in his 80s, so you think, well, really? Yeah. But I didn't get to see Shatner. So that's the biggest loss I think I've had this year.
Well, do you know what though? Shatner will be back. If anything,
anyone will
certain of it's going to be Shatner. Shatner will, like an old trooper. Yeah. He'll be coming back out. But you do look back, I think, and you think, what sort of tender young summer souls we were back then. The idea of, if we just wash our hands, it'll probably be fine. We'll just wash our hands and sing happy birthday, and then it will be over in about 10 minutes. And then it kind of became wear a mask, and then nobody knew how to wear the masks. Because all the sort of craziness as well, you just didn't think that although there's been hints that conspiracy theories are kind of taking hold and, people are sort of mistrustful of mainstream media and stuff, you kind of never believed that, Lawrence Fox would become the kind of figurehead of this kind of anti-mask, sort of anti-lockdown thing.
It's so bizarre, isn't it? I really don't understand how you're being infringed by being asked to wear it, and
I know, but do you know what? People have come here to escape from all that.
It's true.
I think
that's a very true thing. How have you found? So, if you've started the tour again now, how's that working? Have you actually done any shows yet?
No. Well, I tell you what I did. Right. So in summer, I did some drive-in comedy.
Oh, you did some of that?
Oh,
cool.
Okay.
Excellent.
Yes, and I was skeptical, I will be honest, but I went down and I had the loveliest day. I went down to Appledore in Devon, right? And it was gorgeous. It was that little, the last little bit of sun that we had in end of September. Absolutely gorgeous, and there was a field of people in cars, and I said, oh, well, what will they do if they like it? They're going to honk their horns. And the woman running it said, no, darling, no, the residents would complain if there was honking of horns, because it's very, very posh down in Appledore. So she said, no, they shall flicker their headlights.
Amazing.
And I was like, oh, this is going to be difficult. But actually, because it was such a nice night, everyone kind of got out of their cars, and it felt like being in America in the 50s or something. It was like this sort of people making out on the back seat while you're doing, I mean, they weren't making out. They were all sort of people of my age who are well past that kind of nonsense. But yeah, they were all sort of laughing. And then it did get a little bit rainy. So people sort of got back in their cars and they flicked their headlights. And so it was actually really nice. And the memories of this year are going to be extraordinary. The lows but the highs have been quite extraordinary. And there's stuff that you never thought you would do, like this, having little lovely chats on Zoom.
Exactly.
And to me, I was like, oh God, I don't want to do gigs from my own home, because then it's an infringement of my personal space. And but we've created this. So the reason I've got a Zoom background, in fact, shall I show them?
Yeah, go on.
The grim reality.
Right, I'll show you. So I've got this Zoom background because, so I'm sat in a little. Basically, I've got a mattress here.
Nice.
And these are some old plastic box lids that are kind of holding that up. And then there's my mum's old eider down there, which is covered by a green thing. So I'm in a corner of the spare room in a little sort of duvet and mattress kind of enclosure, so that it sounds nice, because I've been sort of doing radio shows and things.
Of course,
and it's like a little womb
I
retreat to, and I get to sit here and have a nice chat with people like yourselves. And the children, I mean, they may come in.
Yes, like that BBC News clip with the little kid on the little wheelie thing.
I know, but do you remember? That used to be like a big thing. Oh, look, there's a child in the background. And now we're like, well, I mean, everything I've done, a child has cut. Not even my children.
Just random children,
local urchins wandering through. But we're all so blasé about that. And I think people have got a lot more relaxed about sort of just chatting, and in a way I think it's what's been on the cards anyway, with things like podcasting and people doing like Twitch and things like that. Actually, a bit more of a sort of relaxed and cozy kind of style is it's not a bad thing. And also the other thing is that friends of mine who, like, if you don't live in or near London or Manchester or Edinburgh or like a big sort of population centre, it can be really hard as a comedian or an actor to go to auditions or to go to gigs, and like for people like me, getting childcare can be really difficult. And so I mean, I literally just put the children in front of goodness knows what. They could be watching anything, and it's fine. It's if the house burns down behind me, then you'll have a story to tell. But no, but it's fine. So there's lots of stuff about it. You go, it's quite good, really.
And I think like with this, because I mean, it's one thing, we probably could have done this any which way, the interviews, but the idea that people would watch something like this in this way would never have happened without this situation. The idea you'd have to sell to people, well, you have to download Zoom and you have to do, and for the club, it's been a nice way to keep it going, but just sort of, I don't know, it is that sort of blitz spirit thing, I think.
We've always said with Mostly Comedy, the bit that we enjoy the most is meeting new comedy acts, people that we've met before, and chatting with them. And when we do Mostly Comedy as the sort of hosts and promoters, that you literally most of the time you get to say hi and then bye and then stand there and then we're going to put you on at this time and then that's about it. So when you get a chance to talk to acts, when you get a chance to do this, is why we started at the beginning of the year doing on-stage podcasts, and why years ago we used to do backstage podcasts, but doing this is even better because you get even more kind of time to chat. And it's the best part about running a club. And I mean, it's not the best, I mean, obviously going on stage and performing is also good, but but it's another great part is meeting people, meeting new comedians, meeting people you've not met before, and
having a proper
because
chat.
normally when I come and do your gig, I just turn up, I come in, I eat everything in the green room because you do the best snacks. And then I've always got to race off. So it's kind of quite nice to sit and have a virtual drink.
Exactly.
I think the way it's going to evolve as well is that the technology is going to catch up, so that actually all of us who are in the room will be able to chat to each other. And because actually you've noticed, I think, that people have got better at doing Zooms and other video meeting formats. And like the BBC are doing stuff now where they've got rid of the delay on Zoom so
Right,
that
yeah,
you
yeah.
can hear people in real time, so you can have like a live audience. And it's not as
Right.
good, obviously,
Yeah.
as a live gig. Nothing will replace it.
Yeah, yeah.
But sometimes, it's quite nice just to do something where you can all, and if we could all chat and if we could see the audience and if they could join in, then that would be nearly as good as the real thing, I would say.
That's it.
Yeah,
It
definitely.
broadens the things you can do, like you say, because if you're normally stuck in one place and you can't get there, it just opens up the things you can do on the same day, I think, which is nice as well.
And the other thing is what you can do is if it's going badly, you can just stay really still.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, that's the end of the interview. Thank you.
Yes.
For
Yeah,
that. Yes.
she's frozen. I'm sorry, she's gone.
Present, yeah.
Yeah. So my internet has been very bad a couple of times.
Yeah,
with,
at choice moments.
meetings that have been going on a bit too long.
Yeah. I was going to ask about, because I mean, inevitably looking at Wikipedia and other places, I saw that you sort of started out as a researcher. I say started out, one of the things you did, like researcher for telly, and doing like the Mrs. Merton show and things like that. I mean, one, what did that actually entail? But also, did it sort of help your journey into comedy to be sort of close to those sort of things, surrounded by it, or?
Yeah. Oh, in so many ways. So I went to university in Manchester, and I had always loved comedy and music were my two sort of things that I used to go and see all the time.
Yeah.
And I got a job working on the Mrs. Merton show with Caroline Aherne, who was one of the most amazing human beings I've ever met, like phenomenally talented, but also just a really pure, lovely, wonderful human being. And she encouraged me in every sort of way. So being a researcher on the Mrs. Merton show meant that basically I sort of tried to book guests for it.
Right.
So we had, I'm trying to think of my sort of favourite guests that I booked. George Best was an amazing one.
Right, yeah.
Because at the time, it was difficult booking the Mrs. Merton show for the first series because obviously no one had seen it. And you'd say to agents, well, it's a chat show and it's presented by an old woman, but it's not really an old woman. And she's going to ask quite cheeky questions. And I mean, every agent is like, why would I expose my my client to that? Because it sounds mad and it sounds terrifying.
And it's an unknown. I suppose in those days it was slightly more unknown maybe than it is now.
No, I mean, it was quite the hard sell to agents. And so me and the other researchers, we were always trying to think of who would be a really interesting guest. And Caroline and Craig Cash and Henry Norman and Dave Gorman, who were the writers, they had very sort of definite ideas about who they would like. And it was always people who like the audience would like, because the Mrs. Merton show had an audience of 50 OAPs, I guess, friends of Caroline's mum. And so, and it was who were the audience like, because the audience were part of the show as well. So it was like, who would they like to interact with? And so it just led to some really interesting kind of bookings. So like George Best was at the time perceived as a slightly unreliable booking because he, tragically, as it turns out, he was on the booze. And so like I booked him. And it was terrifying. I had to go to his house in Chelsea and escort him up to Manchester because nobody trusted that he would kind of make it up to the studio. And we got off the train at Manchester Piccadilly and we walked through Manchester and it was like being with Elvis. I mean, it was really hard to just get him through the train station and into a taxi. Yeah. And so there were loads of sort of people like that, I wasn't a football fan. I kind of didn't really know much about George Best. And it was so brilliant to sort of meet these people and work with these people. And then, of course, there were the famous moments like the Debbie McGee. Is that question, what first attracted you to the millionaire Paul Daniels? And the thing about the Mrs. Merton show, though, is it was really affectionate and all the guests had a really nice time. And, there wasn't really malice. And I always think that clip is shown and people go, oh, yeah, it was so cutting. And it was so. But actually, Debbie McGee had a brilliant time on that show. And then Paul Daniels came on the next series because Debbie had such a great time. So most, I mean, Chris Eubank, that was a slightly awkward
Oh, God. Yeah.
Slightly awkward
I
evening.
can't remember that one. I
Now you say it, I remember. Yeah. Well,
Chris Eubank came on, and I don't think he had quite got the point of it, but it was actually brilliant TV because
that's
he
the thing, isn't it?
kind of looked like he was going to punch her the entire time, but actually he was fine at the end, and I think he thought it was funny, and because people sort of at the time people went, "Oh my God, this is amazing TV," and it really created a buzz around the series. So it was really good fun. So I did that for 3 series, I think, and then by that time I'd started doing comedy. Because I was writing comedy, and at that time, and I guess even now, to become a comedian or a comedy writer, it seemed a lot easier to sort of do stand-up to get your writing notice. So really, I didn't kind of want to be a stand-up. I'd always loved stand-up, but I didn't really want to be a stand-up. I wanted to be a comedy writer.
Right.
But I started doing comedy and loved it and never looked back. Well, Malcolm has just said, I remember the George Melly one. Yeah.
That's a hell of a guest as well.
Yeah. Mrs. Merton asked him if he had any pornography, and he answered that he didn't even have a pornograph to play it on.
Genius. Brilliant.
I always loved it when the guests who really got it. Like I was watching the other day, Tarby was on.
Right.
And that is absolutely glorious because Tarby really got it and was lovely with Caroline and lovely with the audience, and it was when people could take the piss out of themselves, but not in such a way that they were betraying the fact that it was a character. It was, some people played it exactly right, and it was brilliant.
And I was also reading another interview where it was saying that you used to be in Netto a lot when you first started out doing comedy.
Yes.
Which was very familiar to us because our drama school had a Netto directly opposite, and the amount of like 9p banana yogurts that I bought from that place. And huge chocolate bars for like...
Yeah, baked beans
20p.
were always the loss leader, weren't they? So you'd go in and it would be like, what price are the beans going to be? Because it was unimaginable how low the beans would go. You were like...
They're paying you.
I thought it was baked beans and rolls. That was the thing. And Smash.
I don't even know what happened to Netto because I was on the till at Netto for a while.
Oh, really? So you got to see it from the inside, the magic of it.
Well, I mean, it was amazing because it was, if you remember the old days before the... You had to actually and you memorised all the prices.
Oh my God.
And there was a woman called Yvonne, right? And she didn't even look. It was like touch typing. She didn't look at anything. I didn't even know, because I would be like looking at the product and then I'd be finding the list and then doing the thing. And Yvonne would be just chatting like, anyway, what are you having for your dinner? I know, right. Well, I said to her, like she was a genius at the till. So, yeah.
I used to work in Argos for a little while, and same sort of thing. I used to still remember the number for a trampoline. If you're buying a trampoline, the specific, which is not really a transferable skill you can take to
Were they
else,
were they quite popular then, trampolines? Were they kind of the most popular
there
item?
must have been for me to remember it. I don't know. I think because you had to go and get it from the storehouse. They didn't have the magic conveyor belt. So that's why
they'd have been pricey as well then. Trampolines are one of those things that they're commonplace now, but my God, they weren't, were they?
Yeah, no, exactly.
I'm just writing a quiz, and one of the rounds I'm doing is The Price Was Right, and it's the Argos catalogue. I found online you can get the Argos catalogue from 1973 or whatever it's
amazing.
Up till the present day, and so I'm doing guess the price of things from the Argos catalogue. And I mean, I have to say, David, you clearly will have an advantage. I'll invite you along to that quiz.
This is playing to my skills.
That's a very exciting. Am I right in the Argos catalogue is now finished, has it, or is it going to finish?
As a hard copy, you don't get the hard copy anymore.
Yeah.
Although I think in the most recent advert they still have it in it. It's part of it, which is confusing. But
I think aren't they bringing out a Christmas one, because
maybe
Christmas wouldn't be Christmas without it. And Stephen, very good note from Stephen. Remember, the price of trampolines can go up as well as down.
Hey, there you go. You can make yourself a cup of tea, Steve. You've won. You've won.
Yeah. You win the chat.
But yeah, so did you always intend on sort of performance as a thing? I mean, obviously, like you say you want to be a comedy writer, or was it sort of an accidental route that you took? Or
Yeah, no, I was never a confident performer, and I had terrible stage fright. And in fact, I don't know if I can say this on a recording because she might get struck off, but my sister, who was a doctor, gave me some beta blockers. She had some beta blockers, she gave me those to cut, because I used to be like sweating and shaking, and I'd kind of get on stage and be like, ladies and gentlemen, it's lovely to be. This, by the way, is a train whistle.
I wasn't going to ask.
Obviously,
I know. I just didn't want you to think.
What is she doing? Just casually holding it there.
What's she doing in this
relaxed,
booth?
And there's not being a bit too relaxed. Yeah, exactly.
But you say that, but you were in I mean, I was looking at the sort of credits.
We
things
do
you
have to
did
stop
as
at this
play.
moment and say, why have you got a train whistle? I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
important
no,
at this
sorry,
moment.
yeah. Go on, I just passed
I mean,
that by.
this booth has seen much. I've got this.
Nice.
Excellent.
Yeah, I have many ways of making different
Amazing.
noises for things, but
Various things,
yeah.
But you say about stage fright. But how did you become to be in One Flew Over a Cuckoo's Nest with Christian Slater? Was that
That was a beautiful link then, Glyn.
Is that, yeah,
That was-
just reading through all the things we sort of went through in research. Is that true? Did you get
That is one of the scariest things that I've ever done. Yeah.
How did that come about then? So were you acting a lot at that point, or were you trying to audition for a thing?
No. I tell you what happened was there was a thing called the Comedians Theatre Company where Phil Nichol, Owen O'Neill, and Dave Johns, and anyway, there were various comedians who had put on plays, and I think they'd done 12 Angry Men in Edinburgh the year before. Right. So this was 2004 we're talking about, and so I was going up to Edinburgh with comedy shows, and they said, would you like to be in our next production? And I was like, yeah, great. Never acted, had no idea what it entailed. And I got cast. So if you know the movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, or you may indeed have seen the play, Nurse Ratched is the character that everyone knows, the main nurse. There is another nurse called Nurse Flynn. Nobody remembers Nurse Flynn because I'm not even sure in the movie, I don't think she talks much. And in the stage play, she has 3 lines. Right. And by the time we came to performance, one of those lines had been cut. So I was in this play and I had 2 lines. And then one of them, Frances Barber, who was playing Nurse Ratched, who was brilliant. But she would come in at the end of one of my lines. And I was like, I've only got the 2. Could you just leave? You know, but she's a brilliant actor, so she knew what she was doing. So, so it was amazing. And Christian Slater came over to play McMurphy, the role that Jack Nicholson did in the movie. And at that time, it wasn't as common as it is now for big Hollywood actors to come over and do things in London. It was before that rash of sort of West End productions with big Hollywood people in it. So it was, again, like walking through Manchester with George Best, being with Christian Slater in London was insane, and people would come to the stage door and just be pawing and trying to get at him, and it was like nothing I'd ever seen before. It was properly like being a rock star, and it was a very troubled production as well, which people love because the first director walked out, and then there was and then Christian Slater got ill, and it was all, and they cancelled loads of the first performances in Edinburgh, and so there was high drama, high tension, and one day I will write a memoir
just about
that crazy time that we all had. But it was the most fun. It was like being back at university because there were about 15 of us in the cast, mostly comedians and some brilliant actors. Mackenzie Crook was in it as well. It was, and it was just so much fun. And we had an indecent amount of fun doing that show. And of course, I was terrified because I'd never acted before. But pretty quickly, I realised that if I didn't turn up, it wouldn't really have material affected the play.
So what's
it's
the
quite a nice position to be in, though, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. No pressure.
Although I was fine when you're in something where you've only got like 1 or 2 lines, that's the harder one, because when you've got lots of lines, you sort of get into the mindset. But when it's just like one line, you really overthink how you say that line, and every word has to count. And
especially when it's comedy. We used to do, but me and David used to be in a writing group in at the Soho Theatre, and we used to do a lot of reading new comedy scripts. And if
we'd
you'd
be like
given
Man 2,
Man 2 or Policeman Number 4 or something, you'd be like, but you'd be like, how do I, one line, and you're like, I've got to make this funny because it's got to be funny, but it's like one line.
But also the misconception that you have to make it funny because it's it's like maybe we're not the funny bit in this.
Maybe we shouldn't.
I think there is that comedy instinct to go, but it's about me. There's that great, I can't remember who, I think it was in a Roy Hudd book of anecdotes, but there's the legendary story of the sort of a very venerable actor, and he'd taken this part in this play where he only had the one line. And it was, hark, I hear the cannons roar. And in rehearsal, they were like, right now, obviously at this point there's going to be an explosion off stage. We're not going to do that now in rehearsal, but so you hear the cannons and you say, "Hark! I hear the cannons roar." And this guy has been practicing. He's saying to the other actors, "I don't know. Is my character? Is he feeling defeated? Is he feeling jubilant? Hark! I hear the cannons roar. Hark! I hear the cannons roar." They'd been through it, and then they got to the night of the performance, which was the first time they had the actual live cannon. And the cannon went off, and he went, "Fucking hell!" Sorry for swearing.
No, that's fine.
That's good.
It's like that really good story I remember Stephen Fry telling about. I can't remember who it was. One of the sort of alcoholic actors going to see a play with some friends. I think like seeing a matinee and watching it and enjoying it, and then go, "Oh, this is a good bit. This is the bit where I come in," and then realising that he was. Fuck. It was just amazing. But I forget who that was.
Well, we had Stephen K. Amos was the naughty boy of the cast.
As he is.
And there was, he was meant to come on in the first scene of the second half. He came on with Felix Dexter, the brilliant and sadly no longer with us, Felix Dexter. And we were all backstage, and it had been, I think, it was a day where we were all feeling a little bit cheeky anyway. And he had gone to the pub in the interval. And we're all there at the beginning of the second half, and we're like, is he going to turn up? And poor Felix had to go on his own. Oh. And then Stephen came absolutely mortified, and the company manager gave him the biggest telling off I have ever seen in my life. And he was like a small, chastised schoolboy, but it was very funny.
And I guess that was probably a good thing if you were taking like shows to Edinburgh and doing like solo stuff, to have the chance to do something with a group of people, because that can be quite a lonely thing, the sort of solo thing. So I suppose that was a nice change.
Was that quite early in your Edinburgh journey, or had you done quite a few Edinburghs at that point? Or
yeah, no, I was still pretty fresh. I was still enjoying it.
Enjoying it, I was going to say,
yeah. That was those were the glory days. Yeah, no, it was.
You were on so many beta blockers by that point that everything.
Oh my god! I mean, every medication. If you shook me, I rattled at that stage. But no, that was just when I was really enjoying finding my feet and kind of going, "Oh, this is what I do." And my Edinburgh show that year, I think I can't remember what it was called, but it did quite well. So I was doing a successful play, and I had a hit Edinburgh show, and I was like, "This is brilliant. This is going to carry on forever." And then
I was also reading, which I found quite interesting, that you're a patron for humanism, which was a complete jump to something else.
Yes.
How did that come about? And also, does it affect your work in any way? And has it affected also your view of the pandemic and stuff? Has it helped, do you think, to have that attitude?
It's a very good question, David. But I'll be honest with you. What happened was I was raised a Catholic, and then I lapsed. And I think I was kind of looking for something else, or I don't know. I felt some kind of a need to define myself or whatever. And but I haven't. Yeah, I mean, I suppose I am. I would say humanism is the kind of nearest thing to what I believe in. That it's about that there is a need for morality, and that morality doesn't necessarily spring from a god. It can come just from the sort of natural innate goodness of humanity, and that sort of spark in all of us that is good. But I mean, I don't really I don't do anything. That's the problem with humanism or atheism or agnosticism. I would like a club. I would like, I'll be honest. And I did try going to like the Sunday Assembly, which is lovely, and they sing songs instead of hymns, and but I am slightly conflicted in that I don't believe in God, but I would really like to. And I'm quite jealous of people who do. And I love going to church, and I love hymns, and I love Christmas, and I love nativity plays, and I love everything about it. And I have been saying to my husband, I think maybe if I just pretend, then it will come. But maybe not. I don't know. But I haven't really, since I sort of lost my faith, and then I had a big sort of I don't believe in God, and organised religion is evil. And then like the line I do in my show is, I used to be very critical of organised religion. Now I'm in favour of organised anything as long as I don't have to bloody organise it. That sort of. I think I don't know. I kind of feel I don't know where I stand now really.
And I guess it's that sort of thing of it's nice to feel that there's a positive purpose for things. It doesn't have to be led by an outside thing, by just being kind. And I think again, the circumstances we've been in, it really reiterates that. And I meditate a lot as well, so I use that. And just the idea of being kind and compassionate, but not for a reward other than just to sort of spread the kindness around, if you know what I mean. And
well, I think the early days of clapping, do you remember the early days of clapping?
Yes.
That felt like a very pure and very sort of nice thing that even those of us who are cynical, and I don't like enforced anything. I kind of like, I always feel a bit icky about joining in with everyone doing a thing.
Yes,
And I was really emotional and seeing all the neighbours, and it was that sense of neighbourliness and community and all of those sort of things, which again is something that I think is really positive that we can take out of this year, that a lot of people, I mean, admittedly, it was a lot more pronounced at the beginning and in the summer when it was like, oh, we should all just meet on the street and have Prosecco in a socially distanced way.
Yeah.
And now it's cold and dark, and like we haven't sort of caught the neighbours' eyes for about 3 months, but it's still there. It's still there.
There was one time when I was taking the dog out and the clapping started then, and I'd forgotten from her. I was like, oh, this is nice, just walking down with the dog.
The thing is, though, I found my neighbours, I've got a very small street. There's only about 5 or 6 houses, and I felt there was a pressure with the clapping. It started off all nice and lovely, and then as the time went on, I could see when we were putting our kids to bed at about the same sort of time every night that it was just about to start. And I'd look out the window, and if I wasn't out there, if we weren't out there, they were looking at our door as if to say, "Oh, well, they've stopped doing it." So I felt it's like you had to go out, because otherwise the neighbours would be going, "Well, they've stopped doing that. They've stopped, they're not doing it anymore."
They don't care about the NHS.
We've been a whisper away from fascism in so many ways this year.
It started off nice.
There's a fine line between community spirit and fascism. I did like what Malcolm's just chipped in with. It's easier to believe in God than it is to believe in people.
True.
I mean, in my more cynical times, I agree with you there, Malcolm.
Yeah.
And that's the funny thing as well, because I think, I like to believe in the goodness of people and that everyone isn't out to be an arsehole. Everyone isn't out to get you. But I do find myself a lot of times saying, God, fucking, I hate people. Like with Gemma's always like, my wife is like, oh, people are just, But then I think that's en masse, and I think that's the press. I mean, again, like particularly at the moment with the whole Trump thing that's happening, and, the idea that a man can offer no evidence for something and yet still have millions of people supporting that is just frightening. And you just but then, and actually, to be fair, in a leap to that, I remember specifically with you, if you don't mind me saying, the last year I was supposed to be doing Edinburgh, my dad passed away and all the money was frozen and I couldn't raise the money, and then you sent me an email saying, well, I could lend you the money for it. And I remember you saying specifically, I can't give it to you. And it's like, you don't have to do anything. But it was just so, it was so lovely that you were thinking about, oh, maybe I can help. And I just think that's so nice when people do that, when people just want. And I've actually found, I think we found with Mostly Comedy, when we started to close the doors because we couldn't do it, we had, we've raised about $2,500 from people who come to the club, and all the nice comments you get, and you just suddenly realise that people do really value these things.
It does. It does open up the. You realise, don't you, when things aren't there anymore, that's when you start to appreciate them, and I think you can see, the appreciation that comes back from all the things that we were doing that have stopped happening. Yeah,
and being nice feels so good. And I mean, that's the thing that I think the pandemic has shown, is that actually whenever, if you can do a favour for someone, then of course you feel better for doing so. And it's a very small fraction of absolute arseholes who don't get pleasure out of altruism and doing good. And, I think the our neighbours have been hilarious. Anything that we have suggested, everyone's so eager. We did this thing back in, God, what month was it? October, I think. Called Chalk for Charity, which my daughter suggested, because we've been doing loads of chalk art on the street.
Right, lovely, yeah.
And she said, oh, well, why don't let's cover the whole street in chalk. And it was, one of those that it felt, again, I was like, oh God, we're going to do a whole thing with the street and it's going to be really naff. But it was so, so lovely, because all the older people are like, our street is kind of young families, and then a lot of older people whose kids have left home. And they all were like, oh, can you come and paint balloons and butterflies and rainbows outside our house? And it was like one of those quite sickeningly nice kind of, it was cloying, but it was very, very sweet. And I think there's been a lot of that this year. I think the neighbours have really pulled together.
And let's hope that's a thing that we can take into life as things go back more to normality, because it is a really good thing to have out of it, I think.
Yeah.
I was going to ask briefly, and we should let you go soon because we've been talking for quite a while. But I know you love quizzes as well, and you have your podcast, Fingers on Buzzers. And also, I was watching your week in House of Games. Where how many things did you win? I know you got the wheelie case, which was quite exciting.
I need to watch this. I need to see this. Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know it, it's a wonderful quiz show that's on fun. At tea time, and you get these little prizes. And people always say, "Oh, do you really get these?" Because it's like the 70s or 80s where they used to give you stuff.
Blankety blank or something.
Exactly. Bullseye is the one that everyone always remembers that you get consumer goods and stuff. So you get all these things, but they've got Richard Osman's silhouetted face on them. So I got the wheelie suitcase, which was kind of the best one. Yeah. A dartboard.
Nice.
A cushion.
Yeah.
And did I get one more? No, I got 3, and then Neil Delamere got the toolbox. And
that's the best one, isn't it?
I mean, that I was sort of slightly gutted not to get that one. And then Mark Billingham got the fondue set, which was also excellent. But I've been doing a lot of quizzing. So I've also recently recorded an episode of Pointless, which will be my 3rd time on Pointless. Right. So I don't know when that's going out, but also Celebrity Mastermind.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Which I was desperate to get back on. I did it a few years, quite a few years ago now.
Was it the highest score of a celebrity or something?
Oh, David, I don't like to talk about it, but yes, you're absolutely right.
I mean, your subject was Lucy Porter, so I thought...
Oh, there we go, yeah.
Exactly, small comedians from Croydon.
Do you know can you say what your subject is this time or not?
I think I'm allowed to, yeah. It's Victoria Wood.
Oh, fantastic.
The life and works. So I've always loved her, and it was an absolute joy and a delight. So I just basically watched everything that she ever did and read the brilliant new biography of her that's out. And it was, so much fun. So I think that's going out at Christmas. But I'm basically just a quizzer now. Comedy is long forgotten.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? I keep thinking like they're probably the easiest things to film as well at this point in time, aren't they, I suppose? Because things where they're just like panel shows and quizzes and things like that, where they're people sat on their podiums.
Yeah.
So well, I did Pointless with Dave Johns, who I was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest with, but we had like a perspex screen, and you had to stand away from the perspex screen. And of course, Pointless, you do have to confer at times.
Yeah. You're like, what?
And he's deaf and I'm deaf, and all the young people were fine, but he and I were, trying to. We looked like John McCririck doing some weird.
Did they have to make it sort of? Did they hide the perspex, or was it kind of obvious? They make it a point of it of saying this is here.
You're going to notice it.
You're going to notice it. I was going to say, that's going to be obvious, isn't it? Surely, yeah.
I was going to make a Midsummer Night's Dream reference with the wall, but that's a bit too high end for this.
I wouldn't have got that.
I don't think even I got it. So that's.
But I think you're going to watch stuff that's been filmed this year and it's going to be really interesting.
I find it fascinating. People. Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah, and because you wonder. I mean, obviously, because things seem to be getting more positive now because of all the news of all the various vaccines that are coming up. You do start to see this is one of those things that obviously is going to be iconic of this period and a very specific. So like you say, everything that you can see that will be filmed in that way. I mean, I don't really watch like EastEnders and stuff, but I know they went back and they've been doing that. I haven't actually seen how they do that, but it'll be I don't know.
I have. The trouble is I watched it purely to kind of work it. I saw the stuff about how they'd been doing it, and then I watched it just to sort of see if I could spot it and sort of like work it all out, because it is interesting, but it does kind of ruin programs for you because you start watching. There's a thing I'd really like, This Is Us, which is an American series, which is on Amazon, and they filmed that, and I have been filming that recently, and you watch it, and every single point of it, you're going, oh, they didn't do that because of that. Oh, they didn't do that. I see what they've done there. And you kind of go, hang on, I need to stop doing this now and just watch the program like I used to. It's so annoying.
Well, we are going to be left, I think, with a kind of, an unease about people hugging and touching and kissing on screen, because even now, you watch old stuff and you go, oh, well, that's not very COVID secure, is it?
Yeah, like they knew. Like they should have known.
You couldn't film the bill now, could you? Because they were always like really close to get the shot. Wouldn't happen. So is the plan now to go back out on tour now things are easing, or what? I mean, how far can you plan ahead?
Well, we've rescheduled the tour twice, and it's sort of meant to be starting again in March, April, and I'm kind of cautiously optimistic that it's going to happen. I mean, if they reschedule it again, I think I might. I was saying the other day I might just go around to everyone's house and just do it, because I just want to. I don't want people to have to reschedule again. But I think it'll be fine. I think we'll get out in some form next year, even if it is with social distancing and perspex screens and masks and everybody
holograms. everything you can. Do you feel an anxiety about going back to that out of interest? Because I know I sort of do, because you get so used to living in this sort of bubble, but going back to performance, it's suddenly like a bigger deal, or are you looking forward to the release of it, do you think?
Cannot blooming wait, mate. I am, because I've done enough sort of little bits and bobs of things like filming Pointless, and to sort of go, God, it's really nice being around other people, even if you can't touch them. And I love touching people, as you both know. But if you can just be in a room with other people and feel that collective energy, it's incredible. So I think, I'll probably be rubbish. I wouldn't come and see the first couple of nights of the tour, I'll be honest with you. If it's coming anywhere near you, then swerve it until at least week 2. But it will be like taking shaky baby steps back. But I think it will be great. I think the joy of all being in a room together will outweigh any kind of stage fright. One thing that I will definitely take away from this year is I will never ever again walk past a pub if it is open. I'm just going to go in.
Yeah. And so then in about 10 years' time, you'll be the George Best on the...
Yes.
We're dragging you through Croydon or something. We should probably stop there, but thanks so much for doing this, Lucy. And
such a pleasure. Really lovely to talk to you. And thank you to everyone who has sat and listened and contributed through the lovely chat. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I've got a Chinese takeaway.
Oh, so jealous of that.
Right, I'm going to see if the chip shop's open.
So there we go. That was Lucy Porter.
It was, and us as well, asking questions.
Yeah, and us.
Yeah, again, another lovely chat that we wouldn't have had if it weren't for this situation that we've been in.
Do you know what was interesting? I found that we talked more than we have for all these interviews we've done during this coronavirus time. We talk more about it and lockdown, I think, in this interview than we have most others, as in we talked a lot about different elements of it. So it'll be interesting if people are listening to this way down the line when hopefully things are back to some sort of normality, or it'd be interesting, it kind of sets it in a time more than some of them have done. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
definitely.
In a nice way, because I quite like reminiscing. It's like a bit of history. And
also it's this sort of, we're more familiar this time round with what to do. I think the whole thing, I think if you listen through all of them, you can sort of chart the different stages of this whole thing. And, because now at the time of recording, we're in lockdown number 2, we've sort of got a familiarity of what it is, but also we've recently had the news, obviously, as we mentioned, about various vaccines that by the time you listen to this, you'll know that we all grew second heads as a result of them, died off due to some other disease. So you've got that information, but so it's a slightly different feeling this time, I think. I hope, like we were saying, I think there have been, despite obviously all the challenges, and I guess we're lucky because we've not been in a situation where it's directly, the health side of it hasn't at this point directly impacted us.
No.
But there have been good things that have come out of it as regards, I think, people's attitudes to each other and sort of helping each other out and sort of, I don't know, like we were saying, I do think, I hope that when we go back to more normality, people, at least, even if it's for a few weeks, will sort of appreciate it more and be nicer, hopefully.
It definitely, like I said about my talking about my neighbours and doing that clapping thing, and there was a point where I thought I felt judged by them because I wasn't out there.
I did as well. I'd be walking around my kitchen and you suddenly realise it's going on and I think, they can see me inside here. But it's like, I do support it. I'm not arbitrarily clapping.
But on a positive side of that, actually, it's been really good for just getting to know the neighbours in the sense, I've always chatted. We were quite a small, it's quite a small street, and I pretty much know everyone's name in the sort of immediate vicinity of where I am. And in fact, when you don't know someone, it's more weird that you don't know them than you do, if you know what I mean, because I know most of them. So, but it has been nice to be able to chat to them, and it has carried on, even when we went after first lockdown, going back into sort of, normality for us with having the kids back at school and stuff, then everything sort of became like a rush and life became like it was, sort of, with work and stuff. So even then, I felt like I was going, I'll chat to this person today, or I can have a moment where I can talk, and that hadn't been a thing before. So there are definite positives. Positives like this podcast, for example, are, all good stuff.
But it's getting that sort of community. I know they're all terrible phrases, and you're sort of embarrassed for saying, but like community spirit. It's that feeling of, being a part of something rather than avoiding. I know I've talked to you before about there used to be a guy who lived in the block of flats that I lived in who would work so hard to not meet my eye when he'd be leaving, I'd be entering. I'm just going to say hello, and he's so hard. I will not look at him. I will not say hello, and it's like, God, why? And you just get more and more. You think, God, it's weirder the more he tries to really enforce not seeing me when I'm quite clearly walking through the same door as him. Why are people like that? But it's nice some people, and I know you like your privacy. You don't want to have to sort of stop for ages, but it's just nice to sort of know the people around you and be a part of something, I think. And I guess the nature of a thing that we've all been thrown into means you sort of face it all together. So
definitely. I mean, I'd say the only thing that frustrates me now is the mask wearing, and not because I don't want to wear a mask, because I'm happy to wear a mask and I wear it all the time, and I wear it all the time. I
prefer when you wear a mask.
I'm not wearing it now, so I don't wear it all the time, but I wear it like doing the school drop-offs, and that's one of the hardest things. And actually, I'm looking forward to, it's being totally honest, school drop-off has always been one of those things where, sometimes I'm in a mood to talk to people, sometimes really not. You just want to drop your kids off and go. The mask wearing for me kind of plays into the side of me that doesn't want to talk to people, because you can't communicate with people properly, so you sort of end up not talking to anyone. And actually now I've got to the point where I'm like, do you know what, I look forward to when I'm not wearing a mask, where I can actually communicate with people, even just if it's a smile or a kind of expression in my face, because you just feel like all you feel like you're doing is just giving everyone evils, because all they can see is your eyes. And you're like, if I want to say hi to someone, I have to really animate it with my eyes, and like, look at me, I'm saying hello, morning, in a point where everyone's quite tired. So it's
so we're all doing TIE or something. We're all like some sort of horrible theatre and education tool.
So I'm looking forward to when we can communicate with more than just our eyes.
Although at the same time, it's quite nice sometimes to not be seen. It's like an excuse.
It's really conflicting in my mind as I'm saying it, because there are times when I really enjoy the fact that I can just be anonymous and just wear a mask and just go about stuff without having to communicate. But then there are times now where I'm going, do you know what? Actually, I'd really like to be able to communicate now, and I don't feel like I can.
Yeah, well, you catch yourself as you're doing it, don't you? Think, oh, well, that won't have read because they can't see my photo. And like you say, I do find myself really, really upping the energy just because of the mask thing. But
it's very difficult. But it's so strange, and who'd have thought that this time last year we'd be talking about that?
I know, it's such a it's such a strange situation we've been in, and I guess you're starting to frame it a bit differently now because the news seems to be getting better, but obviously we'll take everything with a pinch of salt and see. As to what's happening in America, God knows where.
Don't even go there.
No,
don't even go there.
We don't have the time or the energy.
No.
But let's hope that by the time you listen to this, Trump has long gone. Let's hope that, if nothing else. Hope. Yeah, because he's a madman. But thanks for listening to this podcast, and there are plenty of other ones to listen to if you want to. All those various people, including Bobby Davro, Kate Robbins, Rory Bremner, Arthur Smith, Josh Widdicombe, old ones with Phil Jupitus, Richard Herring, James A. Caster, various people, lots of people, Paul Daniels, Debbie McGee, as we mentioned in this one. And it's funny, I'd forgotten, like when we were talking about the Christian Slater play, how much of a big deal that was at the time. I do remember.
It was, it really was. That was the thing that got me, was like when it was just stuck there. That's why I kind of felt the need to kind of bring it up, because it was in there amongst all the sort of Wikipedia stuff about Lucy, and I was like, I really remember that. I really remember that point. And we hadn't even done Edinburgh at that point, so it wasn't an Edinburgh thing for us because we hadn't been there, I don't think. 2004, she said it was, wasn't it? I think it was. So, but just to to kind of go, you were part of that. That's weird. I remember that.
It's like a lot of these interviews we do. It's funny when you find yourself, because obviously we were aware of Lucy Porter for a long while before we met her. And then you go to the other side of it when you've met her and you know her a bit more. And so to the sort of refer to things that you remember with the person afterwards, this many years on, is a sort of funny thing. And we get that a lot, like talking to Rory Bremner or someone and talking even just about his programs and stuff. It's funny how life works like that, particularly for us, where you start on one end of a thing, being vaguely aware of it, and then come out the other end talking to the person about it, knowing. It's very strange. Very strange. But interesting.
It is.
But listen to the other episodes. If Mostly Comedy is up and running again, come and see us. Mostlycomedy.co.uk is the place where everything is, all the information. And we'll hopefully have you with us again for another one of these interviews very soon.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
I won't do a showbiz ending because I just don't. I've lost faith in it. But,
do you know what I was I'd already said see you soon then, so now I've kind of ended it, but without ending it, which is really weird. So
what do we say once you said that? It's like you hang up. No, you. No,
yeah, exactly.
I'll hang up.
Yeah. It's the nature of Zoom, isn't it, as well? Like the whole, I'm going to go now. I've pressed leave, but hang on, I'm still there. Just press
my
the
face
next
is
button.
frozen in a really weird expression. But all the things you just get used to now. Yeah. It'd be nice if we can just say goodbye and walk away.
Yes.
Like the old days. But thanks for listening. See you, hear you, have you there with us next time. Thanks for coming. Take care. Love you. Bye.
Bye.